And if we are forced to choose between our security and the jurisdiction of a foreign court, including the ECHR, we will always choose our nation's security.
Well, to be clear, that was the UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak threatening, to rapturous applause from the audience, to join Russia and Belarus as the only European countries outside the European Convention on Human Rights.
If he's serious about migration, he needs to put a cap on legal migration. He needs to take us out of the European Convention on Human Rights.
If we're truly committed to stopping the boats, then we'll have to consider all options, including with regard to the European Convention on Human Rights.
I had assurances from Rishi Sunak that he was going to put a cap on legal migration, that he was going to do something about the European Convention on Human Rights.
If UK journalists won't point out the implications of this, I'll happily come back every day and point them out for them. The European Convention on Human Rights protects our right to a fair trial, freedom of assembly and expression, the right to participate in free elections, freedom of religion, freedom from discrimination, the right to privacy, freedom from torture and degrading treatment. And we already know that human rights can't be trusted under this government. Just listen to the Prime Minister proudly making this announcement about his Rwanda bill.
It disapplies relevant sections of the Human Rights Act.
Just listen to that again.
It disapplies relevant sections of the Human Rights Act.
If that wasn't appalling enough, just listen to this.
We've stopped them claiming modern slavery, right?
And he actually says it with pride. Human rights are universal. It's not for this government to pick and choose who they should and should not apply to.
We clearly have a problem with human rights law in this country that is making it difficult for us to achieve our objectives.
The Rwanda bill not only strips away basic human rights from people seeking safety in this country, it actually puts all our rights at risk, yours and mine. Because if this government can just snatch human rights away from any section of society when it pleases, then none of us has rights, just privileges that can be taken away by people in power whenever they want.
And if we are forced to choose between our security and the jurisdiction of a foreign court, including the ECHR, we will always choose our nation's security.
Well, imagine the shock for those rapturously applauding in the audience when they find out, according to International Human Rights Watch, the UK could soon make the list of countries that abuse rather than protects human rights thanks to this government's outright onslaught on the rights of its own citizens. Just think about that. During the past 18 months, this government has robbed millions of workers of their right to strike, locked millions of people out of the electoral process, a blatant act of voter suppression by the government, and stripped back our right to protest about it. And when you hear the argument that we can just leave the ECHR and create our own Bill of Rights, please remember that presupposes we can actually trust the government with our human rights in the first place. And this government has shown time and time again we can't.